Hey guys, Brandon Woolham here, and today we are checking in with Rusty Harmon. How are you, buddy?
Hey, man, how are you doing?
Yeah, so we go back a few years, maybe a few more than a few years. When you managed Hootie the Blowfish, you still work with a bunch of those guys on their careers. And now, after that remarkable career in mainstream, you've launched Vere Music, focusing more on the faith-based artists. What led you to the Christian and worship space at this stage of your career?
Well, it wasn't necessarily intentional when we first started. Our label is really geared for all genres, and we've had a variety of artists throughout the years. We're 5 years into it now. We've had country artist, an Americana singer-songwriter, pop artist, EDM artist, R&B artist. Um, but we've always loved working with the Christian based management teams, publishers, writers, and in the last maybe year and a half or 2 years or so, it seems like our biggest success stories have been in the Christian music space, and it's very rewarding for me personally, just because of my faith journey and where I am today and where I have been the last several years, really, with with several different things in my life, my family, sobriety, just really a variety of things that have kind of led me here. And one of the things I feel like in the Christian music space in particular, it seems like in pop music and country music, there's a lot of artist development that goes on. A lot of marketing companies geared towards artist development. A lot of social media management companies geared towards artist development, and even just managers in general are more apt to take on developing artists. But it seems like in the Christian space, there's not as much attention paid to the development of artists. And I realized that as we started working with some of these teams, that some of the basic things that we were able to do with some of the other artists in the country space and the pop space, when we implement a lot of those best practices on the Christian side of things, um, it works. And so we've been really successful of late with a handful of artists, and so it just kind of gave us a moment to pause and sit back and think, gosh, we love the music, we love the faith community, we love having success in that space. So why not focus on it a little bit more? And that's what we, in the last really 6 months or so, we really have been very intentional about trying to reach people in the Christian music space, whether it's gospel, straight up CCM, worship artists, churches that are releasing worship music, whatever the case may be. We just love being able. I'll tell you what I love, man. I love starting a meeting and ending a meeting with a prayer like that. Like when you do that at a restaurant and see the people at surrounding tables look at you and like that. I like being that example to other people in the industry that you can incorporate your faith into what we do from a music perspective. And I'm really proud of that.
Yeah, looking back at the time you were managing Hootie there, you kind of changed the trajectory of that band. They didn't quite fit the mainstream mold there at that time, and a lot of us here in the Christian industry, we kind of joke about how our industry sometimes is just a few years behind. So, are you seeing any of the parallels there with helping the Christian artists break through today?
One of the things that I was very intentional about with the Hootie guys is when they showed up to play a gig, and I tell a lot of I managed artists for more than 30 years, and I always tell artists, look, if you show up to play a gig in a new market, and if you show up for load in and sound check, and then go back to your hotel room or go grab something to eat, and then come back and play the show, load out and leave, if that's all you've done in that market, you've done yourself a disservice. Like, you really need to be intentional in those new markets about finding new fans. And what does that look like? Are there brands in that community that you can go introduce yourself to? Are there radio stations that you can invite people out to the show? Can you go to the local coffee shops, especially college centered coffee shops where there's, kids that are probably fans of music? Go by and visit, and I don't necessarily mean a Starbucks. Not that I have anything against Starbucks. I had a pumpkin spice cold brew yesterday. It's pretty stinking awesome. But those college coffee shops tend to be employ and the employees tend to be music fans. So if you go by those local coffee shops and just invite people to a show, give them a flyer, ask them to if they'd like to be on the guest list. So just kind of grassroots marketing, kind of you shake every hand, be nice to people, go to record stores, go to coffee shops, go to radio stations, and just find people that are potential fans, invite them to your show. And even if you just get two or three new people in the market, when by doing that, that's two or three new fans that are going to probably talk to their friends about the fact that this weird guy just showed up inviting me to a show, and I went and I had a blast. So when we develop our marketing campaigns for our record releases, whether you're a country artist or a Christian artist, I think that finding those unique fans in various locations and places where you weren't thinking there might be a fan, just really trying to do everything you can to reach out to fans that didn't wake up that day thinking they were going to find out about your music. So that's pretty universal across all music platforms.
Yeah, you talk about shaking hands there. You have recently created a partnership also. So a little handshake there with Lipscomb University here in Nashville. Also, Bart from Mercy Me. Talk to us a little bit about that partnership and what it entails.
Well, so I teach adjunct. I've taught at universities for many years, many different universities. I think I'm trying to make up for all the years that I was a terrible student in college, and trying to repay all the professors that had enormous patience with me. But I do have a lot of experience, and I like teaching the new kids, the new generation about how the music industry works. And I think that there's a lot there's a lot that we old veterans can do to impose, to spread our wisdom and to help out with kids. And so I love doing that, and I've always done it. Here in Nashville, I taught at Belmont for a couple of years, but I found a home really at Lipscomb. I'm starting my fourth year now teaching there, and I teach a variety of music industry classes, music marketing, record label operations, concerts and live venue management. But one of the goals that I had throughout like all of the universities where I taught, I always wanted to help start a student led record label and really talk about what it's like to put out a record and do it in a way that is professional. Like it just I tell people all the time, just because you can release a song on DistroKid doesn't mean that anybody's going to hear it other than your family and your friends. Like if you do just a little bit of marketing, and if you follow some of the best practices that the DSPs are looking for, um, you can achieve a lot more, a lot wider listenership. So wanting to do that at the college level, where you can get students that are interested in running a record label, and obviously at a school like Lipscomb where there's so much musical talent, kids that are especially in the worship space and the CCM space, a lot of songwriters that Amy Grant is the shining example, and she's really involved with the university. She does the lighting of the green every year, and there's the Amy Grant Scholarship at Lipscomb, and so you see a lot of people that want to be Amy Grant. And so you find these kids that are interested in not only the songwriting and releasing music, but also the professional aspects of releasing music. And so Brown Bannister has for many years run the music department at Lipscomb. Brown was the producer on all those Amy Grant records and Stephen Curtis Chapman records and Mercy Me records and so much more. And he and Bart from Mercy Me started this Imagine House initiative, probably I want to say before COVID. I wasn't there then, but I think it launched then, and it involves film and music. And we were able to, when I came in and started talking to Brown about my interest in running a record label, he said, "Well, we have this Imagine House initiative, and we've always wanted to make it a label that where we could release students music that are making really good music. And so we started talking about that, and one thing led to another, and that label is distributed through our label, which is Vere, and we have a partnership with Warner Music and ADA. So the Imagine House record label at Lipscomb is distributed through Vere and ADA, and we utilize all the same practices that we use for all of our other artists with the Lipscomb students that release music through Imagine House. We had our first record through that project was a band called River and Rail, which they were students that just recently graduated from Lipscomb. Great record, and we've been able to release that. But then we also Steve Taylor, who's a CCM veteran and runs the film department at Lipscomb, has had a relationship with Russ Taff, and we were able to release a Russ Taff record as well on under the Imagine House label. So we've put out a couple of records, and we're in the process of putting out a couple of more right now. We're actually we meet every Monday night. The semester just started. We've got our eye on a couple of artists that we're about to announce who the next record will be.
That's awesome. So many artists and songwriters, especially here in Nashville, they move to town and they get here and they realize it's not something where you can just walk up to a record label or management office and get your foot in the door. So what advice would you give to those folks who really have no idea where to start with this kind of thing?
Probably the best advice I can give you is, man, find your own tribe. Like, you don't need to you don't need to go knock on doors at management companies and record labels. Like, just find the people that you like to write with. There's a lot of there's this mentality with Nashville writers that if I could just write one song with, name the writer, Luke Laird or Shane McAnally or Ashley Gorley, all the best writers, Seth Mosley, all the best writers today. If I could just write one song with those hit songwriters, my career would take off. And I always try to break it down for them and say, look, you got to understand, if you were got into a room with Shane McAnally, do you think he's going to give you the same material that he would give to Morgan Wallen or to Miranda Lambert? Like, he's not. He's gonna bring out his C-list material that he's had in a notebook for 3 or 4 or 5 years that nobody else has used, and he's going to use that on you. Like, he's saving his A-list material for Morgan Wallen and Eric Church and all of the hit artists, because he knows that those songs will get cut and they have a really good chance of streaming very well, and he'll make a lot of money. However, when you find your group of people that are going through the same life experiences that you're going through, they they aren't, cashing $1 million checks for number one singles. They're struggling to pay rent just like you. They've got girlfriends and boyfriends just like you, and they're trying to figure out, where the next gig's coming from just like you. When you sit down to write with those people, they bring their A list every single time they sit down to write. They're always trying to write a great song every time. And eventually you're going to find the next Luke Laird or Shane McAnally or Ashley Gorley. And and you're going to be able to write a great hit song with one of those people. And the fact that you have these shared life experiences is going to bring out material for you that otherwise would just sit and unharvested, really. So I think that finding your own tribe, finding your own group of people, letting people come to you, stop chasing the business card. Like, if people are get so enamored with the initials or the logo on a business card, whether it's William Morris or Red Light or Sony Music, whatever the case may be, they just get so enamored with the thought of sitting down with in a group. And I know I've been there. I mean, I understand it. It's like it's hard to not chase those big names if you're a person in the industry that you've heard about your whole life. But I feel like, in my experience in particular, is if you're patient and if you do all the right things, if you don't cut corners, if you go to every writer's round, if you show up on time for writing appointments, if you play the gigs that there's more people in the room than in your there's more people in your band than in the room. Like, when you show up and play those gigs and you're professional, eventually it starts to come around. And if you're good and if you're different and if you stand out, then people will eventually come to you. So don't be so concerned with, in the old days, people would go up and hand somebody a cassette tape or a CD. Don't be concerned with handing somebody a CD. They'll find you. They'll figure out how to find you.
Yeah, that's great stuff there. If folks have watched this conversation, they're interested in listening to some of the artists you've got on this label. Talk about some of the artists they can check out that are Vere artists.
Yeah, we're really proud of a band right now called the band Jaren. They've really done some amazing things in the last year or so, and we're getting ready to start a new release cycle with them. We have a band called the Arcadian Wild that is a bluegrass Americana folky kind of band, kind of like Billy Strings. That's doing really really well. We like those guys a lot. Mary Claire is a CCM based artist that has done real a pop young pop CCM artist. That's a great songwriter, really strong vocally. She works with Ted T, who's a producer for King and Country. She's put out some great music. We're really proud of that. We had an artist named Micah Christopher that just got upstreamed to Integrity Music. He's a worship leader. He actually is a worship leader at my church here in Franklin. And we really like his releases as well. But there's several others. We usually have about 10 or 15 artists in a release cycle at any one time. And we just signed a new worship guy named Chidia that is he writes with Seth Mosley, and he's got some good records that we're in the process of releasing right now. We just had our first release with him that went really well. So really excited about these new worship and CCM artists that we have, and there's some really good things happening. But yeah, veermusic.com is the website, and um, we specialize in artist development and marketing and playlist pitching to all the DSPs, and we've, like I said, we're on a little run of luck right now, or a little run of success, and we're very proud of it.
We'll pray that continues for you, and it's been nice hearing a little of your story today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brandon. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.